Hello, everybody. My name is SwatSwatter, and I was granted access to the Payday 3 closed beta. And after around 20 hours of play, I decided I want to let my thoughts be known. So after the 2 days of constantly waiting and checking my email, I woke up one morning to the glorious email letting me know I was in. After that, I rushed to my computer, hit install, waited for the game to download, and while it felt like forever, in reality it was 5 minutes, I was eventually in. Opening the game and starting my first heist, I noticed a good bit of frame droppage, down to around 30, but that's not terrible, but it's not exactly where I wanted it to be, so I had to compromise a little bit on the looks of the game. After I had fiddled around with it for a little bit, I was running near 60 most of the time. However, there's some drops, which to be expected. It's a beta. I kept up with what people were saying, so I knew it wasn't just me. A lot of people with lower end computers haven't been able to run it very well. I don't have the greatest computer, but I don't have a bad one. But I was able to get it running, and after all that, I was able to have a smooth experience, and, well, here we are. The gameplay that I have recorded here was from the second to last day of the beta, so I had to play my best for you guys. I've seen some gameplay from other people, and I just thought I wanted to, let mine up be out there, and I want to eventually start uploading Payday 3 content and all that. I was the only one in my friend group who was able to get their hands on the beta, so I wasn't able to play with any of my friends, and I was basically had to play with randoms the whole time, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. Some of these players were very good, and we were able to get through very hard. It wasn't very hard, but I wasn't able to complete Overkill, mainly because I couldn't get a group with me, and I'm not really the type of player to try to do things solo. So, yeah, sadly I was the only one in my group who could get their hands on it, but when the full game comes out, I have some confidence we will be able to make it through most of the Overkill heist, which I'm very excited for. Not only that, but to see all the challenges that we'll be able to do, and all the other weapons and leveling them up, which I really liked in this one. Because in Payday 2, when you got a weapon, you had some challenges to do with it for some of them. Like, I don't know, kill 200 enemies with this to unlock this attachment for this weapon. Instead of doing some of that stuff and having like just attachments that you can throw on most items, like the sights and all that, you'll be able to earn them through leveling. I like that a lot since it gives you a reason to use every weapon, and not only that, but it gives you some more progression to do. I also really liked the tools that you could have, like it's like a big gust of air or whatever it sprays out that would stun troops. In some of the clips you'll see me using it, because I did use it against some shields that were pretty much putting some pressure on me. And in this game, much like Payday 1, you're gonna want to be by your teammates, and what your teammates are doing can help you a lot. And if you're not near them, you're putting yourself in a bad spot. But I'm not saying it's like really bad to be by yourself, but you don't want to be alone for long periods of time. Because I somewhere in this footage, I'll go out of my way and try to find it and put it up here. I was trapped in the stairwell on the bank, and I was constantly being pushed by a bunch of police officers while the rest of my team was in the vault. And I was pretty much stranded there until I had eventually made myself out. Definitely, I had taken some big hits after that one. But luckily, armor is very durable. All of the footage you are seeing is being played on very hard, which wasn't super duper hard. I didn't play enough of Overkill to really tell you my honest opinion on it. But it does seem like the damage you take is kind of a little bit of a big jump. Not huge. It's definitely doable. But it definitely does hurt. It definitely does hurt. I'll say that much. Which is a good thing. One thing I didn't like about the well, Payday 2, not Payday the Heist as much, but in Payday 2, back when I first started playing, Overkill and Deathwish were the hardest difficulty, and I always felt like Overkill to Deathwish was the big jump, but I don't think it's a jump of that magnitude, if you know what I'm saying. Alright, and next up we will be talking about, and yeah, we have the weapons up next. I did get a chance to use all of the weapons, and I really like all of them, but I feel like the outliers were really the SMGs. I personally didn't really find a big use for them, but I'm sure somebody will find something for them. You know, they reload faster than assault rifles, but don't deal as much damage. Here, I have the weapon names all here somewhere. I just gotta go find them here. Alright, so the first weapon we will talk about is the Commando Ziv, which was the only which was the only weapon that was able to be purchased with C-stacks. The two items that we were able to buy with C-stacks were the Ziv Commando and these gloves, but that's cosmetic stuff. We could probably get into that later. The Ziv Commando I was not impressed by it, if I'm being honest. It was a fast weapon for sure, but I mostly try to deal with groups of enemies fast, and something like that doesn't really suit my playstyle nearly as well. So I really didn't give it another thought after I'd used it. It's on my stealth build, but concealment's not a thing, so it's mainly there for cosmetics, because I mainly use my pistol and I didn't pull out the SMG. As I said, I wasn't really too impressed by it. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as the assault rifle that I was using. And the other SMG, the FIC PC9, was another weapon I didn't really use all that much. I maybe used it for a heist. Another weapon I wasn't too impressed by, but that's probably how I'm going to feel with most of the SMGs, except for probably the outliers, which feel more like assault rifles. I will try them though when the game comes out. Maybe I'm wrong about them. So it's not much I can really tell you about the SMGs, but it's more the assault rifles, which I can talk a lot about. But we're not talking about them yet. We're going to move on to the shotgun. The shotgun, which you're seeing in the gameplay right now, is the Rheinfeld 900. This was one of the most fun weapons I was able to use. Not only was it powerful, it was fast, it felt great, but definitely not against a bulldozer. In this footage right here, yeah, I had to flee, but bulldozers are not something you want to mess with. I'll get into that later. The Rheinfeld, it puts in work against any regular units, and it does some work against some specials as well. But my only problem with it is I feel like it doesn't do a lot of damage against the visor on the shield, so it's not something you want to just use against their visors. It's more something if you can get around them. I wouldn't waste my ammo on trying to break the visors with the shotgun. But yeah, if this is how a pump shotgun is going to perform, I'm a bit scared to see the Mosconi. The Mosconi was shown in the gameplay footage, and yeah, I feel a double barrel can only be better than a pump just because of the drawbacks that it has, which is 2 shots. Next up we got the Car 4. See, when I first started up the game, I went into the my equipment to see exactly like what the menus look like and how to navigate it. And I hovered over my first weapon and I saw it was the Car 4. Now, I'm a bit saddened by this, but it doesn't mean the reason I'm saddened could not come back. When I saw the car 4 was the first weapon that you started with, I was like, damn, they didn't bring back the AM car. Because in Payday 1 and Payday 2, the first weapons that you gain access to was the AM car. The secondaries were different, but it was the AM car. I loved the AM car in Payday 1. It is my most used weapon in Payday 1. It is great. Not the best, but it is great. In Payday 2, I cannot say the same. Not in the slightest. But, anyways, getting off the AM car, we're off topic. The Car 4 is pretty good. I had no problems with it, but I did not see a major difference between the Car 4 and the next assault rifle we were talking about, but it does its job fairly well. It does not underperform, it doesn't overperform. I didn't notice anything crazy about it. It performed exactly how I thought it would. Its reload a little bit slow, but most of the reloads in this game don't feel super fast. And it makes sense because in Payday 2 we can get some crazy reload speed. But I don't think that's how it's going to work here. From what I saw, there's only one skill that allows you to reload faster, and it's based on the situation you are in. Alright, so that was the Car 4. Yeah, the headshots on it were good. The enemy health in this game stays the same across all difficulties, so no matter what we use, it's gonna be the same across all difficulties. Next up, we are going to talk about what people were saying was the best assault rifle in the game, which honestly I'm not surprised by. And that weapon is the SA-A144. I'm just going to call it the M308, if I'm being honest. This weapon is a great weapon. Amazing. It one-shots most units to the head. It puts in some serious dents in on the bulldozer. There's not really much to say about it, honestly. I can't really tell you anything that other people haven't told you already about this weapon. It is great. It performs very, very well. The ammo on it isn't bad, but I don't think it picks up nearly as great as other weapons. But ammo bags in this game are pretty good. I don't think ammo, if you have the proper players, ammo shouldn't be a big issue. But I wouldn't recommend all players run it, because you definitely do want people for different situations. If you have a player using it who's not very great at hitting those heads, it can slow you down. So having other players using different things, serving different purposes, is definitely something you're gonna want to do in this game. So that's a little downside to it, but a great player, those downsides mean nothing. If you can hit the heads, you're gonna be able to survive perfectly fine on your own. And the final weapon we have, let me find its name here. This was my favorite weapon in the beta. I really enjoyed it. It was probably my most used weapon, and it was the Northwest B9. Well, I said earlier, I didn't see too much of a difference between this and the Car 4. I definitely liked how it looked. I didn't really notice any difference between the feel of the weapons, but I definitely like this one more for how it looks. I'm sure there's some stats and stuff that I'm missing out on talking about, but from what I saw, it didn't really feel too different from the Car 4. But I'm sure on release we'll be able to. I'll test it further and see if there's really any difference between them. But the two other assault rifles that we know about, the Eagle Heavy it was called in Payday 2, and the AK. From what I've heard, the AK is good, and in the play test that some of the YouTubers and press were able to play, the AK was in, and I heard that it was overpowered, but it's already been nerfed. That's hilarious to hear that a weapon in a game has already been nerfed before release, but at least they're taking these measures to make sure things are balanced, and I like that. Now, overall, the weapons and the guns they all feel great. I don't know why I'm concluding here already. I haven't even talked about the handguns. The handguns they serve their purpose. For SMGs and bringing all that, you definitely would want to bring the Castigo, which is the revolver. 2 shots, regular swats, and all that to the head. It's basically a mini M308, but it's not something you would like want to use against a bulldozer. But if you're by yourself and you want to put in some damage to the bulldozer, you can definitely unload your Magnum into the dozer. It won't kill it. It'll put in some damage on it, but you definitely don't want to stand out there for a second or two and unload a 35 magazine into the bulldozer. Just stand there, just poke out, take some shots against the bulldozer. Like I said, you're not going to kill it unless they're already really low, but you definitely would want to bring this revolver if you're bringing an SMG. And lastly, we have the Signature 40. Signature 40 is another returning weapon from Payday 2, but this is the starting handgun. Or at least from what I know, for all I know, they could have another handgun they could have for the starting weapon. But this is what we got. The Signature 40 is pretty good. I like it. With the shotgun, it pairs pretty nicely, but it's not what I'm using in the footage. In the footage here, I have the revolver. Yeah, 2 slow reloading weapons. It wasn't the wisest choice, but I don't have any problems with the Signature 40. It does feel like a little bit of a pea shooter, but it is your sidearm. It's not meant to like full-on kill the cops. You're not meant to use it as your like whole. It shouldn't be your whole loadout. It's mainly there so like if you have like 3 bullets left, you put those 3 bullets in a cop, they're not dead. Oh, what do? Well, switch to your handgun. The damage you put in with like 2 shots of like your assault rifle is probably worth like 4 of the handgun's bullets. So it's not a killer like the Castigo is, but it can definitely help you get out of some sticky situations. Like oftentimes you'll find yourself switching to one weapon and then that's empty, so you go to your secondary, and it seems like a lot of the times when I'm like in full-on battle, I always forget to reload my revolver, so it's like a 2.5 second like wait, which could break a plate of armor. It could do all this and that, but the Signature 40 is quite quick and you can have a pretty decent sized magazine, so I don't think it's that bad. But we'll have to see what other handguns are in stock. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the weapons you have on you at all times, but I think they're all very great. If since all the health on the cops are not going higher or lower depending on what difficulty you are, I think that is a very smart decision for balance, because there's a lot of weapons in Payday 2, and a nice chunk of them were not DSOD viable, which, yeah, that sucks that you can't use whatever weapon you want. Well, you could, but what weapons you bring decides whether or not you are able to kill cops efficiently. But it isn't the case anymore. The weapons and how they feel a lot more like Payday the Heist. Because in Payday the Heist, you had a handful of weapons, and it feels like every weapon serves its own purpose except the locomotive. They all have their own like identities. The Amcar feels like a SWAT killer. It has great ammo pickup. It's great headshots. The AK can destroy a bulldozer. The Brenner is good at crowd control. The Reinfeld, another good crowd control weapon. It feels like every weapon serves its purpose. And although the cop health did get increased in difficulty in Payday the Heist, it didn't feel like any weapons were fell off very hard, except the locomotive. But I'm not gonna talk about the locomotive anymore. Lastly, we have the Overkill Weapons. Now, this is something I like. I like this. You fill up a little bar, you press a button, and Bile in like 30 seconds comes down, and he drops you an Overkill weapon. In the beta, we only had access to one Overkill weapon, the Piglet. It was called in Payday 2. I forgot what it's called in Payday 3, but whatever. The Piglet was outstanding. But what I see a lot of people not like realizing is the bulldozer is in a bomb suit. And if you were to just unload a Piglet into the dozer, you'll break off a couple plates maybe, but it doesn't really do anything. I remember doing that to a bulldozer thinking, oh, maybe this is a good way to kill him. It is not. The bulldozer literally said, that doesn't do shit to me. I heard something like that, and I was like, wow. He actually told me it wasn't working on him. But I do see a lot of players thinking that it would be good to use against the bulldozer, which, no, it's not. It is definitely a crowd control weapon. It is mostly designed for that, like, crowd of cops stopping you from leaving the vault or doing whatever. It's definitely not meant to be used against the bulldozers. That was the only one that we were able to use in the beta, but there is another one that is known about, which is a sniper. It's a 50 cal, I believe. It's a thermal 50 cal. Shoots through walls, you can see through smoke. From what I've heard, that is going to be better than the Piglet at dispatching dozers. In one of the dev diaries, they mentioned being able to 3-shot a dozer. I assume that's probably with the sniper rifle. Not this sniper rifle. Maybe that's with the actual primary sniper rifle instead of the Overkill sniper rifle. But I imagine it would do just as good. One thing when I first saw the Overkill weapons, I was a bit questioning, like, how does it work? Are we going to just have a third slot? But no, you carry it around, and when you're done with it, you throw it on the ground. You can get some overkill thieves. I've had my Piglet taken from me a couple times. I'm not mad about it anymore. It's okay, I forgive you. But yeah, that can happen. But a couple times I've noticed that I handed the Piglet off to a smarter player who knows what they're doing, and other times they ended up blowing themselves up. So it's really a gamble. I wouldn't pick up an overkill weapon if you don't know how to use it. But it was a beta. Everybody's learning, so I'm not gonna hold it against anybody. I thought that all the weapons were superb. How they felt was great. The health on the cops was really... It's balanced. It doesn't feel like you're killing cops too easily, but it doesn't also feel like they're taking too many bullets. I feel like it's the right amount. It's like 3 shots to the head for a non-heavy SWAT. Brilliant. The health on cops, it worked. Alright? It just worked. And yeah, speaking of cops, let's get into specials and our opponents. let's just talk about regular cops for now. The regular cops, I could not tell you how many cops spawn on a map. It does not feel nearly as much as in Payday 2, but it feels a little bit more than Payday the Heist. Payday the Heist had 25 cops on the map if you weren't playing the modded difficulty 193. And I felt like that was 25 cops is enough in that game. But in this game, I'll just have to wait and see more. I'm sure somebody could figure out how many cops are on the map at once, but I don't really think it matters. I do think that the assaults... when I first started, I felt like the assaults were a little bit underwhelming. But it's really, when you're in the bank, you're not really going to have as much pressure on you. It's more when you're making your escape that things can go very wrong. In the footage right here, and this ended up happening a lot more than... this ended up happening a lot where when we're making our escape here, it's this alleyway right here that we always get pushed back on. And I mean, while they're here, that cop that I just shot, that is the Sabotage Squad. That is a new team similar to HRT, which died off, got lost somewhere along on the road to Payday 2. They got lost, and there was the use of that tool that I had brought up earlier. Use that to stun the shield. So the Sabotage Squad, I don't know exactly what they do here. I kind of feel like they have a hand in the second round of bollards being brought up, but I don't know. I think that might just be objectives, and like at a certain point you're just, hey, do this again. I don't know if the Sabotage Squad has anything to do with that, but in the bank they'll focus on turning the fire alarm on and the sprinklers. So that's really what they do. I can't wait to see what other purpose they serve other than messing with your objectives and stealing your bags. I'm excited to see what they're capable of. I'm sure in another heist their actions will be much more detrimental to you and your team. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about the Sabotage Squad, besides that they are, I really like their design. I like this design a lot, and I'm over here being stupid getting smacked by the shield. I have no idea what I was doing there. But, on to the HRT. HRT and the Sabotage Squad are not really units you're going to see unless you're by where they're going. So if you're by the fire alarm, you're probably going to see the Sabotage Squad there, but if you're not there, you probably won't see them. Same thing with HRT. If you're not by hostages, you're likely not going to see them very much, and I like that, because they're like, they're hiding, they're slippery, they're making their way in, and they're taking your stuff, or messing you up, and I like that. So you're not going to see these guys unless you're actively trying to stop them, or conveniently you're just where they're trying to mess you up. And yeah, onto some of these specials, or we'll go from the HRT and Sabotage to the Shield. The Shield, man. These guys had a great glow up. I am so happy to finally be able to break those stupid visors in the front of their shields. I'm telling you, I used to think Payday 2's shields were bad, and I got into Payday the Heist, and oh my, they are so much worse in the Heist. In Payday 2, you have so many options of dealing with them, but in Payday 1, you really only have the grenade launcher, or you flank them. But in this game, you actually have an option. You have multiple options, actually, instead of just a penetrating weapon. And those options are to throw a grenade behind them, and they'll turn, which gives you the chance to get rid of the shield. Or you have the visor, which you can break. You're probably going to dump most of your magazine into the visor before you break it. But if you have another teammate there, they can easily just mop up the shield, or take care of any enemies that fan out once that happens. And the snipers. We're gonna talk about the snipers next. The snipers are definitely nerfed. They definitely do not feel as quick to get you as they do in Payday 2 and 1. Oh my dude, the evolution of snipers is crazy. Let me tell you. Payday the Heist, those guys are nuts. You give them a sight of you for a second and you get picked at. In Payday 2 you get like a second. But in this one it feels like you get like 4 seconds before they finally acquire you and are able to take the shot. But when they do take the shot in this one, it definitely hurts you a lot more than it does in Payday 1 and 2. Because in Payday 1 and 2, they bypass your armor gate, they take some of your health, and your armor is broken. Because those games had regenerating armor. But the snipers in this one, they take a whole plate. One full plate of armor. And in this one, armor is your lifeline. That is your life. Forget about your health. Your armor is what you want to keep up. And health is just so much more manageable. You have hostages. You could go to the bathroom and get a med kit. But armor is so precious. You can only get it from the bags. And I watched Noli's video about his review on the beta, and I do agree, heavy SWATs should drop fragments of armor. That would definitely help with the armor meta. That definitely feels like, because you have 3 different deployables besides the sentry gun. I feel like not a lot of people are really going to be using that. I was really big on the sentries in Payday 2. I really like the sentries in Payday 2, but I didn't bother with them here because I wanted to get more of a feel for it all, of everything else before I mess with the turrets.
This isn't a conversation.
Oh, I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah. Armor. It was the snipers. My bad. The snipers are definitely something you want to watch out for. You do not want to get caught by those guys. Next up, we will be talking about not the tasers. We will be talking about the Zapper. Renamed due to copyright reasons, the Zapper is the name for our tasing buddy. The taser? I have no idea what I'm going on about here, but the Zapper. The Zapper is definitely not nearly as bad as he was before. Much like the snipers, I feel like they kind of devolved. Payday 1, they were crazy. Kind of like the snipers, you give them an inch, they'll take it. Payday 2, still back on Payday 1, they were really big threats. Your camera was more uncontrollable. In Payday 2, it was less so. And in this one, I don't even feel like tasers are a threat at all. I feel like they are probably the weakest special in the whole game. Just like, I feel like they have more ways to take them down than they do you. I have definitely tased myself more with their battery than them actually tasing me. Another thing is in Payday 1 and 2, you're able to like turn, you're able to like shoot back, but it seems like if you were running away from a taser and they get you, you will not be able to turn around to actually like put some shots in and try to stop them. You're gonna have to actually be looking at them, or if you're not, you're gonna need a teammate to save you. Also, their mines, I've only seen them a handful of times. I think I fell for them once, but they definitely do not feel like threats at all. I really hope that this has changed, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. And next up, the Cloaker. These sneaky Pete's, these guys, they'll break your deployables, They'll get you, they'll haunt you, they'll beat you, they'll do all sorts of things to you. I remember one of the days, the first day the beta came out, I was watching some footage, and I saw some guy leaving the bank through the back to like head towards the alleyway, and he like mantled over that little half wall, and he got cloaked doing that, and he just like fell flat on his face, and it was hilarious. The cloaker is very weak. The cloaker you can definitely put down in a couple shots, but it's most of the time you'll be able to catch them if they actively charge you from a distance. But if you turn a corner and there's a cloaker there, you're not gonna have enough time to react. These guys are quick. If you're not paying attention, they'll get you. But if you have your guard up and you're actively aware of the cloaker, you can very easily get rid of him. He shouldn't be an issue really at all. The Nader, the Grenadier. These guys are huge threats. These guys are crazy. And I'm not talking about mechanically crazy. These guys are insane. They'll throw these gas grenades at you, and the gas is stronger than the gas in Payday 2. And the gas in Payday 2 it wasn't horrible, but it could definitely hurt you. It could hurt you pretty bad. It'll just like drain your health, like you're bleeding it. And a good way of counteracting these guys is to is to keep hostages around. Keeping hostages around will make them switch to flashbangs, and I'm telling you, you would much rather get flashed than you would definitely much rather get flashed than go through the gas, because if you're like stuck in the vault, a gas grenade is gonna pretty much force your entire team into a corner till the gas goes away or you're able to fight out. That's really all I have to say about these guys. Their voice lines are really, really nice. I've heard them. They sound crazy. And they also have a weakness, which is their bandolier. So you shoot that and you should be one less special down. And finally, the bulldozer. Bulldozers are no joke. Not anymore. They've gotten more health. It seems like they do a lot more damage. And I wouldn't say they're super fast. They don't really seem to run. Payday 2 bulldozers were like you could sleep. Honestly, you could just take a nap. Bulldozers won't be too big of an issue. Payday 1, they're definitely a team effort, but in this one, it's much more. In this one, it's definitely going to take at least 3 of your teammates to take one down quickly, and these guys can really put a stump in anything that you're doing. Usually when you're leaving the vault and you're going through the alleyway and moving all the money, usually Shade will tell you that there's a bulldozer coming. Pretty much every time. You can pretty much count on a bulldozer being there. So if you are ahead of your team and your team is still messing around inside the bank, or one person goes in and starts making his way there and he's moving the money over in the alleyway, that can be very bad. That can be bad because the bulldozer spawns, the other player might not be aware of it, they could get killed by the bulldozer, and then a teammate goes over there, they start fighting the bulldozer thinking it's something like Payday 2. It's not. They die. It could be a whole effect, but the bulldozers are definitely a team effort in this one, much more than Payday the Heist. They feel much more healthy than in Payday the Heist, and they were already a challenge to take on alone. But in here, it's definitely going to be a much bigger challenge to do yourself. The heist itself is very well made. I like all the objectives and just the layout of everything. I don't have gameplay of it, but stealth is definitely very fun. In this one, it definitely works very well. I like that you can do a lot of things unmasked, and it can, in multiplayer, this can definitely help so much. It adds, and if you were to carry a player on Payday 2, you pretty much just tell them to stay there, stay at the beginning. But in this one, you could use them to your advantage. you could use them to your advantage by, like, say you're stuck in the stairwell and there's a guard right outside. You can tell them, hey, come in here, get the guard out of here, I can do my thing, and we can progress. You do that. They do that. Nobody's hurt. Stealth isn't broken. It's great. I really like this. Although I do think we're probably not going to be able to do the heist fully masked up like you were able to do in the beta. I have a feeling you're maybe not be able to. Maybe you'll need to grab the executive, because just by putting in the code and guessing what's on the fingerprints on the keypad, I feel like that you should definitely need to get the executive, and getting the executive is something you're going to need. You're going to need to do to get the codes. Also, another stealth thing. In this one, it wasn't really a thing. The only difference you can make for loud objectives is skipping the vault by opening it. But I'm really hoping in other heists, like in, for example, in Diamond Heist. It's probably a bad example, but I can't think of anything else right now. But in Diamond Heist, you could do the boxes in stealth, and you've completely skipped that. I would definitely like if like you did a couple heists in stealth, you could. Oh, here's the footage earlier that I was talking about. At least I think, where I got cornered in the stairwell. You see, the cops were here fighting my way out. I'm getting pushed from another direction. I really like this. I was all by myself, and I had to fight for my life pretty much. But as I was saying, I really hope stealth objectives can help you progress loud more. So it's not like I'm getting this far in stealth and I didn't get the vault open just to go loud, and oh, now I wasted those couple minutes in stealth when I could have done an objective to keep it open. But it makes sense on this one because the only real big change you can do is open the vault. I don't really think, because really the only objective in loud is to thermite the floor. That's really all there is. Just thermite the floor and you'll be good. But I'm sure in other ones, doing some objectives in stealth will help get you through some of the harder objectives on other heists. So there's probably like a stupid like hacking session on one of the heists, and then you could just skip it by doing it in stealth. That's one thing that I'm hoping for. But I don't know if I really have anything else to talk about. We'll cover difficulties real quick. I did not play on normal or hard at all. What was it? Normal, hard, very hard, and over. Yeah, there's 4. I played on hard a little bit for like my first couple, but I tried to like constantly keep playing on very hard, which is, like I said, the footage that you're watching. I played on very hard. Very hard definitely feels like it could pose a challenge. In this game, I feel like everything is more balanced towards team play, and that's what I liked more about Payday 1. Was you definitely want to be working with your team, but in Payday 2 you can definitely survive by yourself. Not really too big issues with surviving by yourself. But like in 1, if you're in a bad spot, you're probably not going to be able to get revived. But revive times in this game are pretty quick, so I don't think it should be that big of an issue. But yeah, another thing is running out in the open. Payday 2, you could definitely do that, but on this one it's not. Whenever I think about the gameplay differences between Payday 1 and 2, I always get reminded of this one time I was doing counterfeit with a couple randoms on Payday the Heist. I don't remember if we were playing Overkill 1 for 5 or regular Overkill. But I made a goof, and I tried to run from Wilson's house to Mitchell just like out in the open, like it wasn't an issue. And I got shredded. I went from maybe half health down to like 2 shots and I'm dead. And I remember my teammate was like, he had a Payday 2 moment, and then I was like, wow, yeah, I had a Payday 2 moment. and playing Payday the Heist has changed my perspective on these games. I definitely feel like playing Payday the Heist before, like, you know, during all the hype for this game, or at least internally for me, I wanted to experience every, like, payday I could, as much of it as I could. And so I bought Payday the Heist, and I definitely like Payday 1 more than 2. Although I put in a ton of hours in Payday 2, and it hurts saying this, but I I like Payday 1 more than 2. And what Payday 3 is taking a lot of aspects from seems like the gameplay, the combat, the flow, the health, and everything seems to be taking a page out of Payday the Heist book. While specials and some of the mechanics, like bags and some of these other objectives, definitely take inspiration from Payday 2. I like how it's a bit of a mix of both of those things, and I am very happy. If I'm being honest, I enjoyed my time playing Payday 3. I was always a Payday fan ever since 2016. I played Payday the Heist beta, or not beta, demo on the PS3 as a kid. I didn't put in a lot of time on it, but Payday has definitely been a game that I've enjoyed for years. I just think that these games are more my style. I really like these I really like these co-op shooters. Like Killing Floor and this one, and Payday. I'm going to have a great time when this game comes out. I am going to enjoy it as much as I can. I am so happy to finally be able to play it, and I tried to be as objective as I can. I tried not to just praise it all too much. I definitely do have some problems with it, but nothing major. It's really everything that I asked for in the next Payday game. I really have no issues besides the online only stuff, which I could see why a lot of people don't like that, but I personally I have reliable internet, so I can't say that it affects me, but I can see how people can be affected by it. I would very much like to play this game offline, but if that's not how they want to do it, then nothing I'm going to say is going to change that. But all I can say is that I hope that this gets changed, and yeah, that's really all I have to say about the beta. I hope you guys enjoyed my long talk about this with all my gameplay in the background. Hope you hope you subscribe, and when Payday 3 comes out, I really hope I can show you guys my gameplay and help other people, because I want to play a lot of Overkill, and not only that, but on Payday 1, like, I've been playing that a lot. I've been trying to help as many people get their gold masks as I can. Yeah, that's really all I have to say, everybody. This was SwatSwatter, and I hope you come back for more Payday 3 once it eventually comes out. And yeah, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you all, and let's do this.